Yep, just realised face cam isn't up. Hey, everybody's probably happy about that. No face cam. Too late. You have to see me. Alright. Nothing to repair tonight. Instead we're building. Building stuff that will make it easier, hopefully, to repair things for everybody around the world. So I've got about another 6 or 7 of these to build, and then I can do my ship out tomorrow. It's going to be a long, hard night. Slave labor. I should really have done a stencil for these boards, and then I could just simply paste, pick and place by hand. Yeah, I'll still do the pick and place by hand and shove them in the oven and reflow them, but nope, we're going to do it the slave labor way, which, yeah, why do I do this to myself? I don't know. Anyway, get to it. The night's ticking. Won't be surprised if YouTube says you can't say that. So basically, really, I should just flood this damn thing with flux, in all honesty. So all we're doing is we're just covering everything that we need to solder initially with a bit of flux. It's interesting to think that in the old days I never used to use flux, so it's amazing that my boards still lasted, didn't break down and things. Was watching Gamers Nexus bitching about the Newegg experience. What's he complaining about? What happened? And hello everybody, I apologise, I didn't do the usual roll call. It's just the way it goes. This is not that job. There we go. Should we do the trick? Okay, so first thing we're going to do is, because this is hand soldered with tweezers and stuff, then we'll just go along and we'll just tack things down. We'll just stick a bit of solder on every pad that's going to need it. Damn ground pins. Yeah, that's one. There's always too much solder. Come on. Like that is way too much solder. The diodes I can get away with, but everything else is gonna have a great big fat pad. Okay, I generally do these things in batches of 3. It just seems to be easier for me to do batches of 3. Jaden, thank you for the basically £1 there. Thank you for the pound. You pounding me? RMA returns denied. Lewis seems to have rubbed off on Steve with cursing. RMA returns denied. Why were they denied? Okay, I need 3 of each. I think I lost one there. I keep everything in these, you're very hard to see, but these sort of flip containers. Makes it easy for me to quickly get the parts I need and put them out. One thing you notice is that you can always pretty much guarantee that when you dispense the parts out onto the board, they're always going to be upside down to what you want. It's just the way it goes. When I was pick and placing by hand, 90% of the time, upside down. It doesn't actually cause significant issues for this sort of circuitry, but for high-speed circuitry it can change the impedance a bit. Now I know it seems a bit weird to just do it this way, but believe me, it works out quicker when you just run through and do it all like this. Okay, now I need 68. Let's see, how many I've got here? 4. Need 2 more. Naturally, I've got way more than... Oh, god damn, now I've got 1. Yep. Latest laser soldering more than likely expensive. Laser soldering. Oh, there's going to be so many blind people soon with that new laser equipment that's out. It's not straight, Paul. By the way, I only do one side at a time in this phase of the process. So we're just doing the tack down. And we will finish up the other side when we've done all of them. These are 68 ohm resistors. They're part of the USB-C data line inputs. So for people who do USB circuitry, you'll recognize that sort of thing. Hey Ed, Steve's one was an open box refurb, so open box refurb? I think the worst thing about doing what I'm doing now is that with my substandard vision, it's actually damn hard to try and find these 0603s. It's kind of sad. Back in the day, cough cough, I'd have no trouble with 0603. I could even read the digits on it. But now, good frickin' luck. Let's see. LWS 3001 laser station, it costs $500. $500 and probably whatever you're going to lose in terms of income by going blind. I cannot imagine that it's going to be safe to use those laser soldering stations. Because when you think about it, you have the laser cutting machines in the infrared, and they've got them in some pretty protected enclosures to stop the laser emissions going out, cooking your eyeballs. And now we've got this free air laser soldering station. It's crazy. Scratch out your eyes, happens to us all. Yes, it does, unfortunately. Doesn't mean I like it though. Doesn't mean I like it. Okay, let's drop some raisins on the board there. These diodes are a massive overkill for this particular project, but they were selected because of the fact that they're dirt cheap. Like, you can buy several hundred of these diodes for under $1. When it comes to manufacturing, you're trying to get your bill of materials costs right down. It doesn't matter if it's massively over spec, as long as it fits and is cheap, then you're good to go. Yo, what is that? How's the cat village? How's it start? Well, we've got some maybe changes coming up on that. So we'll have to see over the next couple of weeks or month. So I'd still have a gazebo to put up. I mean, blimmin' lazy. I'm just exhausted. I get the mowing done, I clean up the yard, I do dump runs and things like that, but when it comes to erecting new projects, I'm struggling a bit. Did you put one on backwards? Good question. Let's have a look. They're good. Yes, I did. Good spotting. That would have come out pretty quickly in the testing stage. Good to go. Okay. Capacitors next. These capacitors are a bit annoying because it's right on the ground plane, and even though I do have the thermals, it is still a bit of a struggle with this little pencil. Sorting out the height of your trolley. Oh, in the end I haven't done anything with it. The only thing I did is I took the handle off. By taking the handle off, I gave myself enough room, and the height of it I'm okay with. I've been trialing it, and it works out okay at its current height, so no changes. What I have been trying to do lately though is just see if I can improve my voice when it comes to the videos, but I never remember to. I'm kind of jealous because I was listening to my mate Vince, and he's got a much better voice for this sort of stuff than I do. In spite of his accent, I can understand him so clearly. Being exhausted is for no reason is a sign of COVID. Oh no, I'm definitely exhausted for reasons. I can't blame COVID for that one. Come on man, that's it. I had to get that diode to wet up properly. 10 minute tech. Peter A146, these are OB data capture boards. They basically, well what they are is a miniature USB keyboard. That's essentially all they are. So it's got 3 buttons on it. One button simulates a tab press, the other button simulates shift tab, and the third button simulates pressing the return key. And it just makes it easier for when you're punching in diode values and stuff like that, or capturing them off the multimeter, that you can just press the buttons rather than reaching for the keyboard. Now, I did originally start out with a foot pedals design, but funnily enough, I quickly realized that the handheld was actually superior. So I had to eat my little bit of pride and accept that my cheaper solution ended up being superior solution. Not enough flux on there. Nah. Okay. You have to tell Lee to go easy with me. Ha! No. Am I skipping naps? I am genuinely trying not to have naps, because they really do just F you up. I'm trying to keep myself busy. Okay. And these go with the multimeters that I'm sending out to people. Nah, I didn't get enough flux there. Big blob, big blob. The real pain here is I actually cannot ultrasonic these. The reason why I can't ultrasonic them is because I have tactile switches on the board. And if you try to ultrasonic the tactile switches, it tends to bugger them up. Where's the Hershey's Kiss at the end there? Son of a gun. Yeah, I hate that. It's because there's not enough heat. I mean, flux helps, but ultimately, see the pencil, this is a great big fat copper flood, and the pencil's trying to heat up all of that copper flood. It just has a hell of a time doing that, so we'll do some 250. Yeah, so much better when I use a bit of heat. Out of focus though. Yeah, that's much better. I do have the conical tip for the switches. I just don't use it for the microcontroller. To be fair, I used to always use the conical. Like when I do all the manufacturing myself, I had I think about a 1 mil or 0.8 mil conical. Ah, what are you doing, Paul? Lost my rhythm here. Good ultrasonic before, yeah, but it kind of defeats the purpose then of ultrasonicking. Because the tactile switches actually end up contributing a rather large amount of flux to the board. Particularly too because the solder that I use for them is 6040. It's an old multi-core, I think it is 6040. Multi-core 6040, 0.7 mil. Yeah, it's big chunky chunk stuff. I figured if I'm ever going to get through that roll before I drop dead, I kind of need to start using it a little more. If you walk without rhythm, you won't attract the worm. Ah, Dune reference. I've heard the new Dune is actually pretty good, so I've got hope I'll see it someday. I did see the original, of course, in the movie theatres. That was a hell of a long experience. Okay, that's all good. Now we do the USB ports. Which we will also press down. See, conical tip. Ta-da! Wait for it to heat up. Ow! That's actually getting quite hot and didn't achieve what I wanted. Fantastic. It's not really flowing how I like. I wonder what's going on there. It's a bit better, not perfect though. Add a bit of flux and fix that up. Hey Gavin Brown, good evening. Just doing some Sunday night preparatory work. Well, forget it, can't even speak. Reno speak properly. Okay. Need to watch Ghostbusters first. Oh no, did they completely muck up the... I haven't seen the Matrix one yet. I mean, I obviously saw the horrendous Matrix 2 and 3, which was just a frickin' disaster. Just like that soldering job there, because normally I actually do it one at a time, but for some reason I was raging. Yeah, this is just 250 heat again. There we go, nice and easy. Yeah, I was kind of suspecting it might turn out a little bit meh. It was definitely one of those movies that I feel like I wish they could just erase the two sequels that they tried to make and pretend it never happened, start again. That's more like it. Try that again. That's how we used to add more flux to something, add more solder to get more flux. Didn't actually have separate tubes of flux back then, at least I didn't. I heard about it, would hear people talk about it, but you'd just end up going, well, I'll just add some more solder and hope that makes it fix the problem. Again, the contacts are pretty cold, so I put solder on them, then hit it with 250 and then hit it again with the pencil. Uh-oh. Looks like someone needs more flux. Oh, maybe not. Oh, they're okay. Let's see. This tip here is a T30. T30KN. The other one was a T12. I don't think it's a 1.2 chisel or something like that. Hey ITC, how you going there? Yeah. By the way, I deliberately choose mini USB connectors. I think they are a far superior choice compared to the micro USB. Particularly for these sort of situations. If you've got something that's being used in an electronics workshop as a tool or something like that, then yeah, I'll take the mini over the micro any day. I mean, it's actually durable. I mean, it's, yeah, if you look at the size of the tongue on these things, yeah, look at that tongue. That's a nice thick tongue. And it's solid construction. That's not going anywhere in a hurry. And if you do manage to break it, well, then that's on you. Run out of solder. Better get some more. Hey, how's it going, Harold? Doing your sort of trick here. The one connector I do actually hate more than the micro USB is the universal orientation A version, and the Sony Xperia phones supported it, but everyone usually tried to put a micro USB connector in it and then tried to turn it upside down. So that was the problem with the Xperia phones, is that yeah, it would accept the A, but everybody would try to use the normal one, and they would try to plug it in upside down because it wouldn't actually stop you from doing that, and it would butcher the phone connector. Harold, do you hand build all your stuff, or do you have a pick and place and reflow in your workshop? I'm not making enough of these to warrant doing a stencil and pick and place and reflowing in the workshop here. I mean, maybe I should. I've still got my stencil making machine. I think the thing that worries me is that because I do pick and place using a air pencil and stuff like that, I actually have to have better vision than what I've got now to do it properly. All your stuff is hand assembled, yeah. Ow. I mean, at least you can do it at the, if you're doing 3 or 4 a day, you can get away with it. When you start doing more than that a day, it starts to drive you absolutely insane. It's like, I used to dread getting orders for various of the model aircraft things. But like, I'd get a bulk order of 10 or 20 regulator boards and I'd be like, I don't want to do this, it's just so boring. But you have to do it. You ain't gonna get no money for eating food if you don't. But yeah, it just drives me up the wall if I had to do too many in one hit. Hand assembly becomes... It does, yeah. But it still just drives me insane. It was definitely easier when I was younger and I could actually see the parts. Like, 0603 was no problem back then, but now I even struggle to see 0805 properly. I don't really need those ground ones to flow completely through, they're fine. How's the stencil making machine? Mine's actually just a modified vinyl cutter. I use a vinyl cutter with mylar sheets and some software I wrote that will convert the the stencil layer into cut HPGL cut lines. And it works really well. There's definitely limitations to it. Like, in the end I found it was just easier to cut one long rectangle rather than individual pads for things like TQFPs. But for the sort of stuff that I'm doing here, it works fine. USB tester to do 30 at a time. So are you using like an air pencil to pick and place, or you're just using tweezers and... And I presume when you do yours, when you're doing them, they're all on the same slab of circuit board. You haven't broken them free yet. It's certainly easier when it's all on the slab still and hasn't been snapped apart. Yeah, you can see how the flux on this particular solder, this really chunky solder, is quite a bit more offensive than, say, this stuff. Okay, that's 3 more done. We're not going to program them until I finish the next batch of 3, and that will leave me with 10 that I've done for the night. I do design the board so that assembly is easy. All the components are way around, so I do not have to turn. That is definitely smart thinking, yeah. Okay, here we go for the next batch. Why is the focus drifting? How is the focus out that far? That terrifies me. tweezers and everything under the microscope. Oh, okay, alright. Because I just used to do it with an air pencil that I made using an aquarium pump and some needles. I suppose if, let's see, where's my USB meter thingies? There we go. Alright, so we look at one of Harold's. The nice thing is he's got on one side, so that's more smart design by Harold. So yeah, I suppose, I mean, you basically got the full view field in a microscope, and I suppose if you had a 0.5 reducer it would be even easier. But yeah, at least you can sort of pop them all down pretty quick and easy there. But you are using a reflow oven there, I can see. And I'm guessing you do use a stencil too, because that's awfully consistent. Yeah, it's a good job. USB testers are loose, not in the panel. Oh, okay. But use small wooden boards with an edge to hold 10 at a time. Okay, alright then. Hey, Scoop Dog. It's like, I'll get one of my last jobs that I did manufacturing for. Actually, I still have the boards for it. Let's see. Scritch, scritch, scritch. Ach, niemand. No, my stencil's missing. Ah, cuck. Oh well. That's gonna suck. I'll have to make another one day. But I'll show you the panels that I get. You use a vapor phase oven. Okay. But this is for one of my popular voltage regulator things. But so yeah, these are all panelized. This is what we're talking about. Like Harold's comes, the boards are already broken free of this. But I would get them panelized, and then I would... It's going to be easier if I just show it like this. But this looks like a half panel. And then I would tend to break off 9 or 12 or whatever. And I would have my stencil. I would also only do it like within a reasonable size. And this is the mylar sort of sheet that I would use for the stencil. And you can see like they're being cut out with the cutter. And this is not going to be a very good representation. But anyway, you get the idea. What is that? Yeah, this one is not even for this board. So yeah, you'd squeegee the paste on, and then I would use the air pencil to put all the parts on. There is a lot of awkward installation parts here, mostly because I was going for compact sizes than anything else, because it was a very tiny situation that I had to fit everything into. And to make my life hellish, I also had to do parts on the back, and then after that was all reflowed, I had to install a couple of pin through parts. And then the fun part was breaking these panels apart, or breaking them out, because it wasn't always a good cut that they would have. Sometimes they would barely have a cut there, and you had to apply a rather large amount of force to snap them free. And sometimes you would destroy the boards as well. I think this one here, the cut was not deep enough. Anyway, so yeah, that's a panelized version. Now, let's get back to the slave labor version. Hey, Crazy Logics. Yeah, I need a pick and place machine. I was the pick and place machine. Modified aquarium pump. And a whole lot of patience. It worked pretty good. I was pretty happy overall. Like I said, I made a good living out of that for a long time. But I was very glad to move into what I'm doing now. I mean, as it is, my hand was forced anyway, because for the most part, that was around about when places like AliExpress and Hobby King, basically China started opening up to direct international orders using credit cards and stuff like that. And it was essentially the end of doing these sort of things yourself. It was cheaper for me to buy what it was I was making in some cases completely, like as in buy it already finished from China, than it was for me to even just buy the parts that I needed to make the device. So it was a little bit depressing like that, but you know, that's just the nature of it. It's like you got to roll with what happens. You can't hold back that tide of change in those cases. I mean, you can try, but you're just going to get drowned, and you're going to spend all your energy fighting something you can't fight, and then you have wasted all your time, your money, and your energy that you should have been putting into working out what you're going to do next. There's no promise in business that you get to keep the business you have. Did that on some boards, made videos on my channel, a ton of work, then the boards got popular, had to get a cheap plug and place, refused electronic. What did I say, plug and place? Did I say plug and place? I never quite got to getting a pick and place machine. I was looking at, checking all the second-hand ones, but all of them, hey, what am I doing? I don't even know which way I'm putting these right now. They're either too expensive. Yeah, I did put that backwards. Yeah, it's just a pain. And I know there's some not commercial. I know there's some out there that are pretty cheap and now that you can make yourself and things like that. About 10-15 years ago, it wasn't quite so easy. Things have definitely become cheaper in the last decade, in that respect. Years ago, I was quoted $600 to fix a broken screen on 400 TV. Yeah. So very normal. When you're designing boards, do you also try to put in as many test options or alternate part options or just random paths here and there so that you can bodge solutions if you need to, particularly if you're in the middle of the development process still? Laying down that flux is actually proving useful at the moment because I can put the parts down on the board. I can just touch them off the tweezers and the flux obviously bonds them or holds it more than they are holding onto the tweezers. Kind of makes my life a little bit easier. Hey Sabatino. And I love it how with these parts, some of them actually indicate with sensible values like 680 is 68 ohms. Others are really weird like 18B. So what the hell is 18B? In this case, that stands for 1K5, but that's, yeah, it's a different coding system. It's like 10K is O1C or something, I think. I'm trying to remember. What else we got? In the middle of development, my board will all sorts of weird options, including pads for components that are not connected, just to see if your pad shape's any good. Yeah, that definitely. Yeah. Every board I have done has been a replacement for boards no longer available. Oh, okay. The main one is for Rockford Fosgate amp. Yeah, CMRs have yeah, that's exactly what I mean. It's like, you just get these, some of them have got the more directly readable, like, yeah, here we go, O1C, yeah. Is it? Yeah, O1C. I mean, I recognize them after using them enough, but initially you kind of like, did they send me the wrong resistors? And then you test them and you go, no, they're the right ones. Put this one upside down. We'll send this to an Australian person. Surprised you're not using hot tweezers. The hot tweezers won't actually help me on this. In fact, it'll make it harder. Because you need to tack down one end before you can attack the other end. But if you use hot tweezers, you've got both ends. You kind of have to prep both sides or something. I suppose if you prep both sides, it might be doable, but then you're holding, yeah, no, it just seems like more drama to me. Come on, man. I really hate it when I get big fat fillets on my parts, but it's sort of inevitable with hand soldering. Cohen? Benjamin? Yes, they are USB mini pads, not micro. Okay. No, we're not putting that one on backwards again. What you're soldering now, would tin both pads for, and then place the parts, flux will hold them. And then you would reflow, yeah. I mean, yeah, if you're reflowing, that's fine. Well, that's why I like doing the stencil paste, because that's not what we're doing right now. Yeah, Obi-Wan Skywalker, if I was so inclined, that's not a problem, I would do that, but I'm not really producing enough numbers of this to warrant making out a stencil and things like that. I know these days you can actually get them to make a stencil for you when you order the boards, which is kind of neat. It's the sort of thing you do after the third or fourth revision and you really know that you got it right. Ah, come on, oxidation on the end of those diode pads. scrub it away. I've lost my length of solder. It's gone onto the floor somewhere, I dare say. Ah, there it is. Reflow with the quick. There, you could do that too. Certainly there's plenty of options. Or you can use a skillet. I've seen people do that. Still, yeah, this is quick enough for me. And we've already, we've got 6 done in the time I'm talking. Would have been quicker if I wasn't talking, I think. Ugh. Miles, I've got a spare pencil. I can scrape it if I want. Scrape, scrape, scrape. There. Just for you, Miles. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Beautiful. Okay, let's get some microcontrollers. Hey, Christopher Kelly. Hey, Keith. By the way, these are tiny 45s. Tiny 45s are actually an exceptionally useful microcontroller. I mean, they are more expensive per spec, as it were, compared to some others. But in low volumes, I'm not too concerned about the expense for this particular situation. Hey, Ron Rogers. Daniel Laser, yes, that's right. Everybody's here to listen to me gas bag in a barely understandable voice. Seriously, I watch my own videos at times just to look back on things, and I'm like, how does anyone even understand me? I can barely understand myself. Kenny Roman, steaming wallpaper, that's... Gee, how old is that place? Damn you, Hershey Kiss. Trying to work out in my head what 15 DF is in DC. What? What's DF? Oh, degrees Fahrenheit. Probably something like -10. Have you tried turning the microphone upside down? Well, that's an idea. The only negative comparison I know with centigrade Fahrenheit is -40, where they're both the same. But I'm pretty sure -15's got to be close to -10 centigrade or something like that. I think. Ask me about temperatures above 0. Those I know. Okay, USB connectors. Twink. By the way, I tilt the board up ever so slightly when it comes to doing these connections. Otherwise, it's difficult to see what I'm doing. Slick RX, yes, you can absolutely do it without this hardware, but the hardware makes it easier. Trust me, it's much easier to do it with a thumb switch keyboard. Like, you can do it without, but you'll probably, yeah, after a few hundred values, you want to go to a thumb switch. I mean, you could just have your normal keyboard nearby, but it never seems to be quite so useful. I think there's some places in Queensland that see below zero. I think Stanthorpe's one of them. But yeah, for the most part, negative temperatures are unheard of in this state. It's a state we're unfamiliar with. Oh, that worked out actually alright, that did. That ground pin's still a little dodgy, so we'll give it a bit of heat. Yeah, I am. Certainly there's a lot of different ways that you could improve this process, but like I said, this is a very low volume situation. Like, after these ones are done, I'm not sure I'll be doing any more. I think I'll sooner just let other people build their own instead. And then, of course, the other situation is, if I am going to do them in large numbers, I'll probably actually just get China to do them. I think the Captain tape there is so that it's easy for the pick and place with the suction head. Without the Captain there, it won't be able to pick it up. Alright, get another 9 switches. Paul can't count. That's only 6. I think the fun thing about manufacturing stuff, well, you know, doing any sort of, no, that's not even, is when you finally get to the end of your production and you just decide you're not going to do them anymore, you find you end up with these bags full of like hundreds of parts that you probably never use in anything else again. I think pretty much anyone who's been doing it in the past, they'll probably have a storeroom full of all sorts of bizarre parts that you're just not going to use ever again. I think the worst for me are unique resistor values. I have got dozens of reels barely used of various unique values, because one of the projects I was doing, instead of having a programmable or adjustable feedback, or what was it? I was using a TL431 to do a switching thing, and I needed the cutoff point to be fairly precise, so I calculated what the closest resistor values were, and they were just like exotic values. They weren't anything on your normal sort of range, so I was like, well, I'll buy 10,000 of those, sell them in a kit form. Oh, hell no. Hell no. I would sooner build them than sell them in a kit form, simply because of the fact it takes more time and there's more drama to do kits than it is to just make them. I know that sounds terrible, but it's a sad reality. If you get rid of them, you'll need an absolutely, yeah. Slick RX, now I know why my boards would be out of focus, because I would be doing this. What happens is the values come in via the multimeter, and then you use this board to signal when the value's ready by pressing the enter button, or whether you need to skip to the next one, which you use the tab, or whether you need to go back one, which is the shift tab. Tom George, maybe for you. I guess it is the first time you do it, or maybe the second time. After a while, it's sort of like, what am I doing with my life? I'm happy to do these though. These are going to help add more values to OpenBoardData. We've got, I think, nearly 20,000 values on OpenBoardData already, which is quite amazing. For me anyway. Thank goodness the fume extractor's doing its job. Oh, don't worry, Scoop Dog. I've got a fume extractor doing a good job here. As you can see, none of it is actually coming up to my face. Thank goodness. Yeah, look. Crikey, I need some beads working at Golden Arches. Alright, yeah, I'll grant you that. I'm going by feel there. It's a bit blurry to me. Yeah, those exhaust fumes get sucked straight away into the extractor. Yes, I do need to put a grill on there. Need new glasses? I would probably indeed do so, yes. Clippy clippy. This is actually fun. Except when it gets you in the eye. When you get one of those little legs flick off, bounce off something, hit you in the eye. It's like, ah, why? I've seen in motherboard factories that some people, that is their only job. They basically just take the completed motherboards and, yeah, they've just got to sit there and clip off all the long legs. What a job. It's probably 12 hours a day, 10-minute break, $5 a day. Now you can hear the parts landing randomly in my office. Through whole days of more fun. Oh, hell no. I was very, very glad when I was able to move across to surface mount. Okay. So, through whole... Ugh. Drove me insane. Because you'd always have to be flipping the board over and... it was a nightmare. Okay. Probably should have just done this straight into the bin. I wonder how magnetic this stuff is. Insufficiently magnetic. Maybe you just need a bigger magnet. I would have thought the legs should have some degree of magnetivity. Paul's making up words. What colours are the cases for these? There's no cases on these ones, in this case. Haha. There's a very slight magnetic draw there, but not enough. I need an even bigger magnet. Now, I did have one around somewhere, but it's probably... well, I don't know where it is, to be honest. That's okay. We've got the rubbish bin. Is it safe to have magnetic wallets for phones? I don't see why that'd be a problem. I guess the concern there is it will affect the compass. But typically you can calibrate the compass, and most of the time those magnets on the cases are very weak. Still, it can upset the compass, I do agree. Use a brush. Pfft. What, like this? Why would I do that? Look, there's one little piece. The trouble with brushes is that because they flick, you don't know where those parts could end up going. I mean, who am I to speak? I'm the one who's just been clipping stuff without restraint. There we go. You got a black fingernail from trying to take apart dead hard drives. Yeah, that can happen. The biggest magnet I've ever personally had was out of a old Wang, I think it was a 20 megabyte hard drive, and this thing was the size of a fridge. And the actuator magnet was like a house brick. It was a genuine brick thing. And it was only a ferrite magnet that I could tell, but by golly, that thing had some pull on it. Like I'd walk under the house, under our house we had a Queenslander wooden house, but we replaced the main beams with steel. So you could walk under the house holding this ferrite magnet and just like, if you could hold on to it, it would lift you up a little bit. as you go near the beams. It was a monster of a thing, but yeah, I'm pretty sure it was a Wang 20 megabyte fridge size hard drive with platters that were 30 inches wide or something like that. Hey B-Dog, Gunslinger, is your workshop just a single skin concrete block wall? Yes it is. I'm building a little workshop myself in the UK. I was wondering if it would be enough. I would say no. The big problem is that you have no thermal. It's a disaster. In summer it's too hot, in winter it's cold, and yeah, you really need to have some sort of air gap insulation or some sort of insulation going on, else it'll be unpleasant to say the least. Alright, time to program these things. Hey, Nuts and Proud. Yeah, once again, Paul is unsure as to how he's going to do this. Let's see, that one's got the bread loaf connector, that's no good to us. Damn it, there's supposed to be a USB-C. What are you? Not USB-C, aha! Found it. Now the question is it even connected? And it would appear, yes it is connected. We have a green light, which means go. Does it get cold in Australia? Different parts do, yes. We do get snow on some fields down south. Does not get cold up here really. We only get to about 4 degrees centigrade. So, that doesn't really count. But, in lower parts, you can add insulation on both sides of the block wall. I would say, certainly it's still usable material. Personally, I would like to have cladding on the outside with an air gap. And then on the inside, I would like, say, even 6mm ply sheet or something like that. Because I much prefer to, if you're going to mount stuff on the walls in a workshop, you kind of want wood. Because otherwise you've got to drill holes through the block and put the plugs in and all that. Whereas with wood you can go, you're in. And if it's something moderately sturdy, maybe even, ½ inch, 12mm would be nice. Okay. Let's see, oh crikey, I just realised I don't even remember where my project is on this. So you'll have to bear with me in a bit. See where my history tells me to go. Actually, Gunslinger, maybe on the inside is better for your situation. Because you want to keep the heat inside your room. So definitely having the air gap and insulation before you get to the block is a better idea. Whereas here, we want the insulation on the outside because we want to keep the heat out. Like, we don't want the heat getting into the block. So for you, yes, inside, air gap and insulation is the better option. Good thinking. The coder, I've seen his workshop. He's just got solid block or something. Isn't he in a basement or something? I think the coder's just in a basement. Does he actually get to go out? Because, it kind of looks like he's from some 16th century monk monastery wine cellar, or I don't know. It was kind of curious looking at what it is that he's in. Alrighty. Yeah, I've got to find out where this project is. No. Found it. I think. I think. Coder is now working from his loft. Oh, okay. Alright. Oh, do they make sheds out of blocking over there, do they? All our sheds are made out of tin here, or yeah, galvanized steel, things like that. Why don't I have a script file to do this for me? This is offensive. He moved you to cold and security. Oh, okay. Oh, I'll be showing this just now. Okay, I think it might be good enough to go. Nope, that's definitely not it. Yeah, it's weird. Oh, I picked the wrong one, right. There we go. That should do. Let's see. Make sure I don't get this wrong again. Okay. Alright, if everything goes black, we know I did wrong. Looks like it's working. Okay, that's one. I should actually test that this works first. Make sure I have flashed the correct code. Okay, so we do have a red light, which means nothing. I hate that though. Alright, and you can see here it does recognize that there's a keyboard there. So let's see, enter. Okay, enter key works. Tab, let's see if I go X and then hit tab, it works. Yep. Shift tab I can't actually show working, but yeah, it's working. So now we just got to program the rest of them. And this is a very dodgy but effective way of using Programmer. So I don't have a proper connector or anything like that on the board. I just have 6 holes, and then I use normal 0.1 pitch header. Slide it into, slide the programmer in, and just tilt it off to the side, and that guarantees a contact, and away you go. Maximus. Question is, if I decide to buy Paul's board, show schematics, and it will... What? Which board? Oh no, this board is this is going to be open hardware, so you're not going to have the joy of that. Do I use Termios? No. You could use show key. I could, yeah, but I sort of figure from the terminal, if it's working with the first two, then it's gonna pretty much work with the third one as well. Yeah, I did see Raspberry Pi was going to go 64-bit. It's kind of morphed a fair bit away from the under $30 SBC. I mean, I know they have the Pi Zero type thing now, but it'd be kind of nice if they were able to keep it down a bit more in price. But I understand, yeah, the market's basically hungry for this comparatively high spec Raspberry Pi board. Yeah, we've got a taste for it because, like, oh, we can run Linux on it quite nicely now, and people want more. You know, you want USB 3, you want integrated Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, camera. When are we going to get SATA? We're going to get SATA ports now. What I really like about the Tiny 45 in this particular situation is that you don't need to have a crystal oscillator to do the USB chit-chat. It has a small bit of code in it that looks at the signal from the USB, and it adjusts the you can adjust the internal RC oscillator using it, and so it adjusts it till it gets to like a minimum error. The only downside of that is that you can't fit it on 2K anymore, so you have to go for a 4K chip, but yeah, it's not a big issue. SATA's a bit much, huh? How dare you? Everybody needs SATA. Okay, so that's basically it. These are all going to get packed up and sent off to their respective people who have been waiting for them a very long time. I suppose I really should wash them, but actually, you know what? It's going to be easier to wash them now than it is to do it later, because you know that flux is going to get all hard and crusty. Damn it. I was kind of hoping I'd get an early night. Fat chance of that happening. Hey, City. Sonia, yes. Sonia, can you just also send me an email to make sure I've got your latest address too? Yours is on the queue for to be dispatched tomorrow, and I do apologise for people who have been waiting very patiently, I must say. It's not been a deliberate avoidance, it's just a case of, you know, there's just been so many things happening, and I don't want to keep using it, but yeah, with the house, and then with my father, and just, yeah, it's amazing what happens well, anyone who lives life knows that it's kind of scary how many things do come up on a daily basis. And of course, you know, just trying to keep the business running. And for those who don't know, this project is actually sponsored by Lewis's Right to Repair sponsorship program. This is the information preservation project. So none of my personal money has gone into this. It's been a grant from Lewis, or from the preservation group. So, you know, I can't claim that it's coming out of my pocket. Other things have come out of pocket, but not me. Not this one. I just don't want people thinking that I did this out, you know, off my own back. But yeah, the project's it's long overdue. There were some delays initially with, you know, getting the boards sorted out. There was 3 revisions of the boards before I was happy with what we ended up with, and that took a while because of COVID. But we are there now, and I sort of get past each weekend and I'm like, ugh, you know, I've got to get these boards and multimeters sent out. Oh, that was the other problem, the multimeters. The multimeters were causing me strife with the USB ports. So I had to solve that. So what seems like a simple project initially becomes a bit of a drama. See you, Scoop Club. Hope your hawks are good. So if you're not paying for this effort, then it's all profit. What? I don't understand what you mean by that. There's no profit in it for me. Actually, that's not strictly true. Okay. Because, yeah. Where I make a profit, as it were, is because just through the sale of the software licenses. But for the actual electronics development and all that, yeah, that was all paid for. Still got to... Sonia, well, don't forget there'll be one coming your way. Yeah, you'll be getting one of the ones that I got here. So yeah, for the people who are receiving these units, they get one of these, they get a digital multimeter, they get a new set of leads, some good quality leads. So yeah, it's basically a complete setup. And of course the license of the software. You get the leftover parts. Yeah, that's pretty much it, Nusuka. Yeah, that is basically it. One of the more expensive parts of this project is actually going to be the shipping, because while there's a few Australian people, the majority of the shipping is international. Hey Shard, thank you very much for the $5, Shard. I'm not sure what I deserve for that one, but thank you very much. I always appreciate that. Can't say no to money, money, money. Am I autographing the boards? No. I've had some people ask me to do it, and yeah, sure, I've got no problem doing that, but they're not going out as autographed. I don't quite have that level of fame yet, or infamy. By the way, this is just 100% IPA. Do you have a site showing these? I do not at the moment, no. The design is fairly simple. It's not my design explicitly. You know, I mean, this variation is my design, but the actual concept of using the USB port with the tiny 45 is not mine. That's actually done by OB Tech, I think they are. VUSB people, virtual USB people. And they have made that firmware and such free to all. I like your logo on boards. Yeah, I thought I'd add that at least. Half expecting someone to say these are Nazi German boards. But seriously, we're going to go through this again. Crazy logic there for capturing data for OpenBoardData. I actually do wonder. Yeah, if you go to openboarddata.org, we've got 90 registered boards and about 18,500 entries so far. Like a Volkswagen. What? You mean just the fact that they're German? I know you can get spray. I could just spray the flux off. But I actually find that stuff a little bit noxious. I mean, not that IPA is not entirely noxious free, but it's probably a little better than that spray. Even the board background is Aryan. Tech Hobby. Hey, Matt Burley from Hong Kong. Oh, welcome. How's it going over in Hong Kong there? Washy, washy, washy. Like I said, if it wasn't for the tactile buttons, I'd just throw these all into the ultrasonic cleaner and they'd be come out looking beautiful. But once you put things like tactile buttons and microphones and things like that onto boards, then the ultrasonic cleaner is a big fat no-no. Do the same. Hey, Andrew. Yeah, Matt. I know. I'm sorry. I've we do keep abreast of the news in general, so you can just sit there and be quiet. We already understand. IPA wasting beer on it. What? Tell you what, I would not like to drink a beer that tastes like IPA. Is it possible to create a schematic and board view by analyzing the board itself? Yes, it is. Yes. You don't need to know what's going on in the layers, to be honest. So long as you've got the placement of the parts, top and bottom, and if you use the wire brush, a paintbrush style of locating all the points that are on a given network, basically what you do is you put one end of your continuity meter on a particular point that you don't know what's for, and then you just use this brush. It's just like got lots and lots of it's like a big chunk of wire with all the little strands poking out, and you just brush it over the board until you get a beep, and then you can find your other places where that network point pops up. And you just can do that to reverse engineer boards in that way. And like I said, you don't have to know what's going on inside the board, because for board views and schematics, you really only care about the logical representation in many ways. Like point A connects to this part and this part and this part. IPA is poisonous for the body, converts to acetone in the liver. Yeah, you can actually still... acetone's not so bad. Formaldehyde, on the other hand, is a little bad. And that's methanol for you. That's the one that'll knock your eyeballs out. But your body actually does cope with acetone fairly well. As long as you have reasonably functioning liver and kidneys. Oh, IPA, Indian Pale Ale. Oh, right, okay. Now I understand. Hey, Drabara. Yeah, man, you're almost there. Get a little smidge there. Getting that 60-40 flux, whatever they use in that multi-core, is actually quite difficult. So it's genuine multi-core solder, 60-40. I don't know what flux they use in this, but yeah, it forms a rather difficult to remove crusty layer. Maybe I should get one of those electric toothbrushes. I've been contemplating that. I don't know if they do a better job compared to this, whether they're worth it. I don't know. Has anyone used an electric toothbrush for this sort of job? I'm sure there's still going to be bits of flux on there, but it's sufficiently low in the mounts now that's not a problem. How many shipping out? 15 in total. That's what's been paid for. Well, that's what I was able to fit in the what do you call it, the grant that I received. Okay, we're done. So we've got 9 here and we've got 6 in the other room. So, all good to go. Let's see, sonic toothbrush for blah blah. I can't speak. Sonic toothbrush for teeth is awesome. I've been looking at one of those. I'm having some issues. Ultrasonic toothbrushes definitely help. Bit pricey, but if you have an old one to repurpose, it is worth it. Okay. Got an electric toothbrush, not being used. Might give it a go. Yeah, I've heard about the ultrasonic ones being quite popular, but they do seem to be a bit expensive. Hey, Jim Allen, hello. I just realised that you spoke earlier. Sorry about that, Jim. Let's see, what do you get? Yeah, there's also more information on the board. It's not just the logo. It actually gives details. Like, so whatever. OpenBoardData capture keyboard for use with Flexboard and other board view programs. And it's got, my name. Wow, is that a defect in the board there? Man, is this going to be like a stamp collection? Get a water flosser. Yeah, I'm actually thinking of getting that. Oh, look at that. That's a defect there. It's not a bad one, but it's just imperfect. Oh man, the washing looks terrible. Maybe I'll stick these. Maybe what I'll do is I'll run my small ultrasonic cleaner. I've got just a little 1.5 litre one, and maybe I will just stack them up like this, upright, and they can get clean that way. Because I only have to, make the water about 5 centimeters deep, and that'll be fine. So yeah, it might be something I'll do tomorrow. It's a bit late now to get that heated up, but at least we've done them, so I'm happy about that. Alright, time for me to get out of here. It is almost 1 o'clock. Thanks all for sticking around and not getting too bored watching me build boards. Funny. And hopefully I might see you tomorrow with some normal repairs. No guarantee of that, depends what the postman brings. Hopefully also the postman might bring my new 60 frames per second face camera. And while it might not make a big difference for what you're seeing right now with the little picture-in-picture version, it will hopefully allow me to do a better full face, because right now I can only do 720p on this one at 60. If I can't do 1080. If I want to do 1080, I've got to drop down to 30 frames per second, which is like it's like lamer. We're 60 frames per second now. My microscope camera still hasn't dispatched. That's because we've been in the Chinese New Year holiday, and I'm just sort of waiting on everything to. My new motherboard and what else did I get? Motherboard, CPU, and RAM. I don't know when that's going to arrive. It's on its way as well, so who knows? Might be an interesting week next week. Might be boring as hell. You just have to wait and see. Let's see. Jim, there won't be any updated firmware unless you want to reprogram it yourself. So it's just a normal Atmel AVR, and you can program with the normal ISP programmer. So, okay, I'm out here. You take care. Thanks for watching. I'll catch you later.